I know, it's cheesy music. Good evening, everybody. I hope you had a great Sunday. If you were watching some baseball, I hope that worked out for you. Hope your team was successful, unless you were... I won't even say that for any of the myriad of fans that are out there that might take umbrage to my lack of sympathy for whatever team they may root for. So, hi, Manny. We're going to do the final game of the San Diego... Did I get it? I don't know if I got that or not, but if not, it'll probably fly in my mouth here before long. I'm going to do Game 3 of Padres Phillies in the 2008 Phillies Super Advanced as played replay. 1-1 so far in the city. Yeah. Wax on, wax off. Karate Kid, man, he says. So, anyway, that being said, I do have my statistics updated, so I should be able to feed you guys with some info, whatever info you want. San Diego now 14-14 on the season. The Phillies at 13-15, so both teams have played 28 games. This is the 29th game. And it'll be Adam Eaton against Randy Wolf on the mound. Randy Wolf, a former Philly, so it's kind of a neat treat for me. I'm not sure. I haven't really made a mental note of the number of starting pitchers that have been former Phillies that I've had in this replay, but this may be the first, which is pretty neat. As far as, you know, he was a Philly during those years where they were building up to 2008. So, one moment. I gotta see something. Alright, I'm back. The dog starts going nuts and makes me think that there could have been somebody at the door. Instead, it's just a big old honking dog being walked around the neighborhood, and ours has to freak out. So I guess that's just the way it goes with the canine species, at least some of them. The ones that are not trained so well, like mine. Wolf 245, so he's been pitching so well so far this season. 4-2 record, 3-1 record, excuse me. 2.45 ERA. Eaton had a rough outing last go around. Now this doesn't allow me to have the game by game. So it'd be nice to be able to see his, but he got roughed up a bit in his last outing. That probably was against the Pirates. And let me see, he only went 4 innings and he gave up 6 runs. So, again, this doesn't really give me any kind of information. But he has a 6.92 ERA, 2-2. So that's probably one of his worst potential outings here. So let's get going here in the game. I've already wasted 5 minutes of your time. A couple of them just being me going and chasing down a red herring with my mutt. So, and I say that's my pet name for her for whatever reason. So I was just about ready to get rid of this D20 with how much it was going against the Phillies, but then it had a turnaround last game. The Phillies beat the Padres in Game 2. So this is a night game, first game of May 1st, 2008. So we're going to, again, because it's a night game, go from the May column. I will answer that question in a second, Manny. Hang on, I'm going to roll this out and get things. So it's going to pull its way up to average. It was bad conditions the first 2 games, but it'll be average for this one. So, so 10 and 7 for singles, and I think it was 13s. Yeah, 13s around for homers. All right. When to hold and when not to hold. I'd say that's personal preference, just to an extent. Could even be what you decide a team wants to do. You could toy with it. I did have a hold system that I put together for advanced. I haven't adapted that for super advanced. I tend to go with I tend to hold guys that have the star in super advanced. In advanced, I did have a system. You can find that on the Tenacious Strat YouTube channel. I think it was called the Advanced Defensive Hold System. And it involved a roll and the catcher's arm. And it would tell you what, the roll would basically decide whether or not the team was going to be aggressive and hold lots of guys on, or be a little more lenient and let a lot of guys be off. And it would depend on the catcher's arm. If a guy had a good arm, they might be more willing to lay off. And so that's just how it went. So you check that out. So Adam Eaton on the mound, and it will be Brian Giles leading off. Iguchi second base, Gonzalez first. Kuzmanov, third base. Oh boy, Green shortstop looks pretty. It's a pretty bad G. Let me see. That's a little better. Hairston left field. Edmonds center. Bard catching. Wolf pitching. I would say if you don't want to go wrong in super advanced, if you see a star, hold them. If you don't hold them, and then just get a feel for it. That's what I would do. And you can decide whether you prefer holding guys on and being more strict. So, like Giles, probably not holding him on. Iguchi, yeah, you probably want to hold him on because you're going to give him that 19, and you're not going to get the correction for the -2. So I would just go with it like that. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong doing that usually. If you want to try, testing the waters and say, oh, okay, well, maybe with 2 outs I can leave this off, and that way I can, it tempts him to run. It gives me a little better range. So, I mean, you can just do that. So Giles, he'll lead off here against Eaton. And against the lefty, 6-2 ground ball back to Eaton. Eaton, a good fielding pitcher, 2-0. And he's going to need all of that with this 4 roll, I think. I think he will get the out. That's going to be a G3, but with nobody on, that's fine. And the E0 means that the pitcher will put Giles out. Giles went 3 for 3 in Game 2 of this series. Game 1, he was 2 for 5. So Giles has been hot, but finally get him out. Hi, Larry. Finally get him out as the leadoff guy. That's been my struggle myself for a long time, is trying to make sure I'm doing right by both teams. 5-3 against a right-hander. And another X check, fly ball left. That will be, for this game, Pat Burrell, a 5 E2. This could be an ugly one. 5 and an 8 in the outfield is going to be a single. Just barely gets a single here. Could have been a double, but that'll be a single. And make sure that on the E2, a 14 isn't a problem, and it isn't. But that's going to be a single for Iguchi. So Eaton, and again, so Eaton -2, Ruiz -1, so that's going to be -3. See, this is a case where I could potentially play off. Of course, he's going to get the 19 automatically. You get a -3. That makes it 1-16. Still pretty tempting for him to go. I think we're going to hold him on. So that means that he's got to roll to get a steal. Because he's being held on, that means that Gonzalez gets a B for hit and run. And but we're not going to do that with Gonzalez. We'd prefer to have Iguchi straight steal, and he gets a 5, so he will try to straight steal. Again, now he's being held on. So the -3, so it turns to a -5, 1-14. And he is able to steal that bag. So that means Adrian Gonzalez can knock one in here with a single 2-star. And against a lefty, 5-11. Ground ball to first base. This is not where you want to be. Ryan Howard, a 4E20. They get a 16. That is going to be an out, I believe. Let's double check the E20 and a 10. I think he's, oh, E20 and 10. That's a 1 base error. E3. It's a first and third. Still 1 out. Howard comes up. For infield in or corner in, which is best for a defense? Corner in for bunt and for when you have a potential double play. Infield in when you need to cut the run off at the plate for sure. Again, it could be, if you want to be very liberal, you could try and let the team score. If you want to be very conservative and really want to make sure you get that guy out at home, you could play everything in, and even with like a 1-run lead early in the game, you could just say, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I need to try and prevent those runs. So a lot of it's learning in that fashion. So first and third, I mean, the Phillies here probably will play back and hope for a double play. You could play corners in this situation. Wouldn't be a bad thing. But if you get a ground ball A to third base, it's not going to be a double play anymore. So Kuzminoff, well, it still might be. I'd have to look and see. I don't know the results right off the top of my head. Against a righty, 4-10. So catcher X. We'll see if this affects the runner at third or if it'll be a pop-out, which would be a good result for the Phillies here. A 6. So Ruiz is a 2. And a 6 is a potential passed ball. And then 13 on the E2. No error, so we just have to decide if there's a passed ball, and it goes off of Eaton's wild pitch rating, which is a 3. Oh, and it's a 3. It's going to be a passed ball, and in comes Iguchi, and to second goes Gonzalez. Bad luck, and the bat continues. D20 strikes again. And we'll keep going here with Kuzminoff. Runner at second. Against a righty, 5-10. Ground ball to short. You're getting a lot of X chances here. More X chances than you've ever known in your life. And an 18 for the shortstop. Not holding Gonzalez on. He is a 3 E21, so the 18 is going to be an out. Or it's going to mean he gets to it, and then we go 13 on the E21, and no error. Runner at second on the G1. It's not to the right of him, so no advancement. 2 outs. Khalil Green. 5-11 against a righty. First base X again. I'm about ready to say any X chance for the Phillies is automatically an out. How do you like that? Yeah, just kidding. I wouldn't do that. That's going to be a G2. And the 13 for the first baseman, E20, and he makes the play. And the kind of inning that drains you when you're running one of these projects. Seems like everything is an extra roll. Hi, Beatles. But not meaning to complain here, but that's kind of the way it goes. And I have to limit my interruptions because this video is going to go an hour and 45 to 2 hours if I have to answer a lot of questions here. So no meaning to, if I don't answer your question, Manny, it's not that I don't really want to help you out. It's that I really need to focus on this, and I just can't be I can't be continually answering the questions at this point. So thank you for your patience. If you want to email me, you can reach me there. I'll try my best. Again, no problem. I feel like I'm in the same boat as you in certain cases. I've played a lot of games here over the last year, but I'm still opening up this book that's, the strategy involved in this game is just something you almost have to learn yourself. And I'm still trying to flush this out all myself. So Randy Wolf, lefty on the mound against Shane. So your lineup, Victorino back into the starting lineup. And that's a good sign for Phillies fan. Now they get Rollins back here, and it will in the next couple of weeks. That will help them immensely. Victorino center, Worth left. Or no, excuse me, he's in right. That's a bad R. Utley at second, Howard at first, Burl in left, Feliz third base, Bruntlett shortstop, Ruiz catching, Eaton on the mound, and here we go. Randy Wolf against Shane Victorino, 2-5. And how is this for a return to the starting lineup? 1-5 home run, and it is going to stay in the park, but it will be a double. So that's what they needed from Victorino here as a, they're going to have to hold him on at second base. And it'll be Jason Worth. And that's a 1-8, and he strikes out, goes down swinging, and that'll be the first out. Yeah, Victorino here. Let's see, Wolf is a 0 hold and a +3 for Bard's arm. I'll tell you what, he's going to try to take third here if he can get a good lead. He's got to get the good lead. It's a 5. He gets it. So that means he's a 1-14. That means you add 3. Now he is being held too. So that you subtract 1-13 chance he gets to third base. And he gets there. So Utley could drive him home the tying run with a sacrifice fly, could single him home, all sorts of things. So here we go, Chase Utley, and a 3-5, and this one is going to go to the wall. Is it going to get over? Will it get over? No, it won't. It'll hit the wall and come back, but that's going to be an RBI for Utley, and the Phillies tie up the ball game here in the first, 1-1. And so with Utley at second, now the question is, that second number for Utley is a little ugly. And so this is another case where you'd say, okay, am I going to hold him on? I'd say you don't hold him on. You'll give him that 6. You add 3, it's 9. It's a 1-10 chance. You throw him out there, and the rally is pretty much over. So I think you could play off of Utley here. Howard, lefty. And a 4-3 against a lefty. A ground ball back to Wolf. A 4-E-15. 4-9. I think that will get the job done. That's going to be a G3. Utley will advance to third on that. And a 10 on the E15. No error. So the out is made, 2 outs. That brings up Pat the Bat. Phillies would love to get a passed ball here on Wolf, but we'll see what happens. Or a wild pitch or something of that sort. 5-4 against a righty. It's a fly ball to center. It's going to test Edmonds. He's a 3-E10. And a 14, I think that will get the job done and end the inning. We will see. Although it is a 6 with an E10, that's a potential problem. So 3 and 14, that's an F2. Now the question is, Edmonds is E10, and it's a 6. And he does make it out of there alive. Boy, 3-4 would have been problems, but 6 is okay. He'll make the catch, and it is 1-1 tied going to the second. Well, I guess the other thing is, if anybody else wants to answer the question there with Manny in the chat room, that would be great as well. Or anybody else that comes in with questions, if you feel like you can answer those, that'd be great. So here's Hairston. 6-5 against a righty, and that is going to be trouble. Normal power. Oh boy, 1-11. That one's back. Watch that. It is gonna, well, it's gonna come off the wall as well. That's a double. Eaton catches a break on that one. Brings up Edmonds. Runner at second. Hairston. They don't have to play on him. Not a very good runner, and a -3 as far as hold goes. Edmonds. Another 6-5. This is against the lefty. Gee, I swear I rolled them. I should just say, I didn't shake them up well enough. And anyway, 1-13. This one will be gone, and it is. 2-run home run for Edmonds. He is normal power, and that's Adam Eaton for you, folks. Liability, really, on the mound, and it's amazing that the Phillies were able to go. Well, I mean, he went 4-8, but it's amazing he won 4 games because of the way he pitches. He irritated every Phillies fan. 3-6, that's a ground ball to short. Basically, for him to win, he needs probably 80 to 90% of the rolls off the hitter's card. Here is Wolf, 4-3 against a lefty. And a fly ball to right. See, these are where you get nailed. You get a pitcher and then you get that. But that should make the out. Worth is a 2E2, 2E3, and that'll be it for. That's 2 outs. Yeah, it's like, man, that was quicker than I thought. Yeah. See, I was just saying that earlier in a previous video, that it's very easy to, like, miss an out. So Brian Giles, 2 outs, 1-11. Ballpark home run, 1-13. This is going to be another goner, and it is. He is a lefty, and I know that the park in right field is too high for a robbing check, so that is another home run. Giles still hot. 4-1. And it's Tadahito Iguchi. And a 6-6 against a righty. That's going to be a double. Everything coming off the 6th column, which is Eaton's. That's where he eats his dinner every night. Adrian Gonzalez. 5-11 against the lefty. Ground ball to first. And this is exactly where Ryan Howard eats his dinner, is right in that column. And we've hit that like 3 or 4 times, Mr. 4. 4-7, that's going to be, he doesn't have anybody to hold, so he's barely going to get that one. And an 8 on the E20, he is able to make the play, and somehow the Phillies only end up giving up 3 runs after they've hit about, so they've had, let's see, 9, 12, they've had about 11 of 12 go to suspect fielders on X chances. So it's 4-1. So I was sincerely considering finishing this homestand before I go back to my other project. They have to play the Giants next. I think I'm just going to... This game will be the last one for probably... Online, it'll be the last one probably for a long time. I may dabble in this offline, but I just cannot handle it when I'm playing it on here. It just gets too... you know, it's irritating. It's just irritating to see things go south. So, I mean, and it's just, you know, whatever. Yeah, my feelings are too involved in it. Yep. So, here we go. Pedro Feliz. 1-8. Could have been 3-9. Could have been 3-10, 3-6. 1-8. That's going to be a ground ball to third base. If I was rolling this offline, I'm sure that they would win. Bruntlett, 1-9. Ground ball to third base. Could have been 1-8. That time it's 1-9. It's going to be a ground ball to third base again. 2 outs. Ruiz. And there's 2-11. Guess what? Somehow we got 3 third base ground outs in a row. Sorry guys, we're going to go to different dice here. I'm just fed up. We're going to the stock Strat dice, and we'll see if that helps. So, I'm not superstitious or anything, but I don't know if you guys will be able to see them as well, but hey, it's the way I feel about doing it, so let's do it. Not sure if I'm shaking these big dice well enough. Kuzminov. 4-7 against a righty. It really doesn't matter with Eaton. You could roll, you know, you could roll 4-13 and he'd still be giving up hits left and right. So, you know, it really just doesn't matter. Kuzminov, I don't think he has any chance of stealing here. Green. Eaton could really use a double play, and, you know, we had 3 off-hitters cards that would be rough. You know, this time we're getting them all off of Eaton's crap card. Now, that's a strikeout, so get lucky with that one. There's 1 out. Hairston. 2-4. Ballpark single. Against a righty. That's 1-7. And it's leaning because the dice are sitting there. And that's going to be a line out to short for the second out. And I'm getting a little belligerent. It's not very becoming of me. 2-6, and that'll be a strikeout. But, you know, this project has been one that has been sort of an Achilles heel of mine. And you take a step forward and you take 2 steps back, really, in this project is the way that I found it. So, but again, when you've got to go, you go Hamels, and then maybe a good outing by Moyer, then you've got Eaton and Kendrick to follow it up, which is like putting out their, you know, it's like taking yesterday's dinner that you left out on the table and deciding to take a scoop of it and, you know, waiting for the dysentery to come on in. 4-5. I mean, Wolf shouldn't be all that great, but he's a 430. Yeah, they're fighting. They're fighting for their jobs right now. On the right side, 4-5. Boy, look at that. You couldn't have planned that any better. Ground ball to third. We've had 4 of those in a row. Kuzminov's arm is ready to explode right now. Just like my head. Shane Victorino. 3-8. Do we got it? Oh, ground ball to short. Almost. 2 down. Would have thought Kuzminov would have run in front of Green to try to get that one. Worth. 6-8 against a righty, and it could have been 6-9. Yeah, it's 6-8. Fly ball to center. There's Edmonds, and that will be it for the third. It's time for the Phillies project to be burned in a fire. Anybody that pitches against the Phillies is Cy Young at this point. Josh Bard, and Josh Bard's going to become not Cy Young, Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron all in one at this point. 2-5, yeah, there we go, 2-5. Wow! You could have 1-5, you could have 3-5, you get 2-5, and guess what you get? You get a flipping double out of it. So good for you, Josh Babe Bard. Enjoy that. We're gonna have Cy put down the bunt here. He's an A bunter, so they're expecting it's a B. And a 3, it'll probably move along, and he'll probably beat it out. Now B3 is a sack. Poor Randy. I mean, Cy. He really thought he was going to beat it out. So, Brian, don't call me Marcus Giles. Now up. Can he get another dinger out of it? Against the lefty, 4-4. Ground ball to third base, X. Well, tabletop, I'll tell you what. We've, you know how I was complaining about History Maker? Being all these checks, this game has been about 150 checks already. So, maybe History Maker is just sort of like the norm. This is a ground ball to third base. This will be, well, you know what? They're going to have to play the infield in, right? So, 4 runs across. They're gonna play infield in, which means it's a third base X. They weren't holding the runner, and it was a 20. So, and a 10. So a 20 on the 2 for Feliz is a G1. So with the infield in, G1, runner at third. It says batter. Runner advance only if forced. So it's going to hold the runner. That's going to be the second out. So that is a gift. Yeah, Lazy Warlock, I kind of agree with you, but I also wanted to play this as played because that's the way a lot of people do it. And the trouble is when you get into funks. And yeah. 5-11 against a righty. Ground ball, again, a ground ball to first. Oh, Nelly. Ryan Howard is bending over so much his back is throwing out here. And he gets a 16, which might actually play out for the Phillies here because they're playing back now with 2 outs. And the 9 on the E20, he is able to make the play, and somehow San Diego comes up empty. Can the Phillies start getting their act together here? I'll tell you a guy that the Phillies used to turn into a cross between Cy Young, Sandy Koufax, and Bob Gibson all in one was Steve Traxel. My goodness, they would just figure out. I mean, they were just good at turning any, you know, fifth starter into some kind of, you know, I just think they were. So, Chase Utley here, lefty. Maybe he can get him started. 2-6. Well, a 1-7 single chance. That's. So you're saying there's a chance. Well, no, there's not. That'd be a ground ball to short, and that's 1 out. All right, let's. Oh, my Kindle just went out. Ryan Howard. 1-4, and it's a fly ball to center, and the rolls are not coming for them Phillies today. Pat Burrell. He's 0 for 1, and that's a 2-5. And he draws a walk, so that's going to bring up Feliz against a righty, 6-8. And I remember this one because I said it would be it could be 6-9, but no, of course not. It's going to be 6-8. It's going to be a fly ball to center field again, and that ends the inning. So it just stinks when you get 3 or 4 of those games in a, you get 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 games in a stretch like that where it seems like all the rolls are hitting wrong, and when you're at this point in the season, it makes it really easy to want to just bail. You know, if you're 150 in, you can probably gut out the other 12 and just say, you know what, I've seen this before. So Gonzalez against Eaton, top of the 5th. And 5-9 against a lefty will be a ground ball to first. And he still has his stuff, but this is his inning of weakness. So we will say it's ground ball to first. Howard will be able to run to the bag. Hi, Jerry. Maybe I need Jerry here to keep me honest. And a 3-6, another strikeout for Eaton. What do you mean? What do I mean? Yeah, there's 3. And here's Khalil Green. Can they get a 1-2-3 inning? Yes, they do. Wow. Adam Eaton saving the best for last, as he is 3rd up here in the order, and I can't see the Phillies leaving him in here after the struggles he's had thus far. Bottom of the 5th, 4-1 Padres, looking to take 2 or 3 here on the East Coast in the city of brotherly love. And the Phillies are going to get they haven't used Brad Harmon to pinch hit in a while. They're going to have him start loosening up here to come into the batter's box. So Eric Bruntlett will face Wolf against a righty, 6-4, ground ball to short. That'll be Khalil Green. 3-12, 3 and a 7. Does that have a chance of being a? Nope, that's going to be an out. And that's 1 out. Carlos Ruiz. Phillies really need to get their act together here. I agree, tabletop. Stinks I'm getting so frustrated about this. 2-11, ground ball to third. Wonder what the record is for number of assists by a third baseman in a game is. Be fun to know. So we got Eaton. What has been going on here with the Phillies bullpen? They only used Durbin and Lidge last game, so they can probably afford to go into the bullpen a little bit tonight. Yeah, let's see if we can get something started with a pinch hitter. It's only 2 outs, or it's a 2-out situation, so that's kind of. Oh, this is game 29, so it's not like it's super early, but it's definitely got a ways to go. So Harmon is going to pinch hit for Eaton. So Brad Harmon, guy with a very few at-bats in the season. Oh, assist guess. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they do that. So 4-7 against a right-hander, and he draws a walk, so that's... Let's see, can the Flying Hawaiian come through? Let's see. Harmon is not much of a stealer, so let's just leave him off to the side for the moment. Shane Victorino sure could use a Another double or better from him. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Oh! Oh! That's the roll I needed. Oh, and Wolf doesn't have a balk rating, so re-roll. We needed that 2-5 was going to be at least a double, but well, let's see what happens here. 6-5 against a righty, and that's going to be a ground ball to short. This is Khalil Green, 3E12. Yeah, it's just a game. And 10, that's going to be an out. Don't even have to look. So that's it. And we have to go to the bullpen already. Well, we haven't used old Rudy in a while. So let's go with Cianez. Eaton goes 5 innings. I mean, it's not like it's coming out in the 3rd inning or anything. So I guess we only have to get through 4 innings of work here from the bullpen. So that's not too bad. So Wolf, he'll probably, if they get to him in the order here, they'll probably stick with him. Hi, Tony. Good evening. Most assists by a third baseman in a 9-inning game is 11. Nice. Jerry, the fountain of knowledge. I love it. I love it. That makes my night. Maybe I'll feel a little better. So let's see. Scott Hairston against Rudy Cianez. 4-5 against a righty, and that's a fly ball to right. And that'll be an out. Eaton, what was 4-5 for him? That was also a strikeout. So that was an out. So for some reason I thought that was going to be a hit. I'm marveling in the terribleness of Kevin Young in 95. Jim Edmonds, 4-6, a 1-15 against a lefty. 4-6 is a single outright. Brings up Josh Bard, Mr. Double. 1 for 2. Yeah, that's right. So Bard against Cianez. Edmonds at first. Cianez is +9 with 1 out. I think Edmonds is going to try. They're not going to hold him on. He's going to try to get a lead here. He needs a 7. Gets a 9, so he does not get a good lead. But it's going to be a +5. You could, because they're not holding him, you could run with it. He could try to take it 1-11. But then you walk Bard to get to the pitcher spot. Let's meet in the world. Yeah, let's. They're not getting there based on the way they're playing in this. I'll stop there. Ground ball to second. 4-6-3 double play. That ends the inning. So Cianez against the switch hitter Bard induces the double play. And yeah, these guys, I don't know if it's Rollins or what, but the pitching has been atrocious. Tom Gordon did it. Adam Eaton's done it. It's looked like a joke show. Wolf back out there. I don't know if he will. Well, he'll finish this inning. I think he'll probably come out to start the next. Come out as far as sub out. Yeah. They're 13-15. You can see it here. They should be. In real life, they were, after this game, they were 16-13. So the way it's going, they will have flip-flopped their record. And I don't really feel like it's anything other than just the dice driving a dagger. So Jason Worth, 311. Well, you might get a single out of that. Asking a lot out of this D20, a 1 to 12. And right on cue, the old 16 for the line out to short. Chase Utley against a left-hander, 5-8, draws a walk. Needs something out of Ryan Howard here, so it's the 6th inning, and they're going to have Clay Meredith get warming up in their pen, maybe to face Burrell. So Utley at first, and so Wolf 0, and so +3. Utley's going to try to take second if he can get there. He needs a 5. And he gets a 7, so that's not going to be it. See what Howard can do here. 4-11 against a lefty. Ballpark single. 1 to 10 for a left-hander, so a 50% chance, and it comes in. So Utley will move to second, and I think we will have to pull Wolf at this point. So Wolf's day is done. He does go 5 1/3, and Will can only get the victory here. So he goes 5 1/3. And Meredith will only come in for part of an inning. Well, he just gave up another one there, Larry. So you just did the old jinx-a-rooney. All right, so Meredith against Howard. Or no, not Howard. Burrell. Trying to match up against Pat the Bat. I'd love to get a double play here. So here's Meredith, and here's Burrell. 6-8 against a righty. Strikes him out. Second out. We all know what that was on the other card. Oh, I forgot to roll the D20. We should really do that. 3. So I'm going to have to pan out just a little bit here. I'm starting to run out of room. So, okay, Pedro Feliz, 2 outs. A little early to pinch hit for Burrell there against a righty. 2-9. 2-9, and that's a ground ball to short. Yeah, Jerry probably would have liked me to ride Wolf a little longer, but he leaves the game, and Clay Meredith comes in and puts in a nice effort to get the 2 outs. He will be done. For the 7th, they will have they're going to have Kevin Cameron. Let's see, how much did he pitch yesterday? He pitched 2/3 of an inning. They're a little short on relievers. Is that right? You know what? They're gonna go with Glendon Rush. He might match up against. He's a lefty, but they'll let him go against some righties here. So they're gonna have to. They're definitely gonna pinch hit for Meredith. And Cianez is going to stay in for another inning, as he didn't go 1, 2, 3, but he almost did. They're going to go with Calyx Crab. So Crab against Cianez. Hopefully Rudy isn't seeing his way out. But here we go, Crab. 310. Oh, and he draws a walk. How about that? He's a guy that has a little bit of speed here. Giles, they're gonna put out the hit and run here. They're gonna put on the hit and run sign because they're gonna have to hold Crab on. He's got a star, and seeing as is not good at holding, so he's gonna be an A hit and run guy, and a 4-4 against a lefty. Ground ball to third base. That's gonna be Feliz. 2E21. Is that right? No, 2E12. Could be a double play ball here. 11 on the 2. That's a G1, and the 10 is not going to bring it up there. So that's going to be a 5-4-3 double play, and that's nice for Cianez. Get that. That's the second double play he's initiated. So Iguchi, 5-8 against a righty. Fly ball to center, and that will be it. All right. Seventh inning stretch. They will go to Glendon Rush. Not a great ERA, but see if he can get an inning of work in here. Then they can go to Bell and then Hoffman. So just trying to bridge that gap. And it's going to be Bruntlett, Ruiz, and the pitcher spot. Phillies are going to get... See, they got Gonzalez. They're going to get J.C. Romero warming up in the pen here for the 8th. Golden Corral? Yeah, maybe. So, Bruntlett against Rush. 2-8 against the lefty. Ground ball to short. 1 down. Ruiz. 5-9 against a righty, strikes him out. 2 outs for Rush right away, and it's going to bring up the pitcher spot. And Harmon is not there. We got to see. Another nice thing about using a lefty there is it kind of eliminates Jenkins and Dobbs. It means you got to go with So Taguchi, who's not so good. I'm here all weekend, folks. Okay, so here's Taguchi against Rush. 2 outs. 3-12, and that's a ground ball to third base, and we are stacking those up here. 1-2-3 inning for Glendon Rush, and he will likely be done. Let's see, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We basically need 5 out of the next 6 putouts to go off of the third baseman to get there. So the Phillies will go with J.C. Romero. They'll also have Tom Gordon. I mean, they've got to use him at some point here. Try and fend off some. They need to rest, keep their bullpen rest. But so Romero will face Adrian Gonzalez, then Kuzminov and Green potentially. So here we go against the lefty Gonzalez. Against the lefty, 6-6, fly ball to right field, and that'll be the first out. They prefer to let Romero face all 3 batters here and not bring in Tom Gordon. 3-9, struck him out. 2 outs. And here's Khalil Green. Against a righty, 4-7, strikes him out. Romero, a nice 8th inning. They may give him another shot at that in the ninth here. 1, 2, 3. Quick work. Whoa! I just took out my... Okay, so it's going to be Heath Bell for the Padres coming in to set up Hoffman. And so it's going to be top of the order, Victorino, Worth, and Utley. This is where, if you're the Phillies, you want to get the job done. You want to get some guys on and give those big bashers a chance. But it's going to be Heath Bell against Victorino. Let's see. Desmond went 1.1. I'm a little hesitant to use him. They do have Joe Thatcher potentially out of the bullpen as a situational lefty should they need him. So Victorino against Bell. And a 1-9 is a ground ball to second. And that'll be a play that is made by Iguchi, 1 down. Jason Worth against a righty, 6-7, strikes him out. 0 for 4 for Worth. The top of the order is 1 for 8. And there's been only 4 hits in the game. And it's Chase Utley's turn now. And a 4-9 against a lefty. And okay, well, that could be something. 1 to 3, a triple. It'll be an 11, so a single for Utley. Brings up Ryan Howard. And are they going to stick with Heath Bell? I think they will. His card against lefties is not so bad. The question is, do you want to turn around Howard and make his power a bit nullified? Now, the trouble with that is that you bring in a guy in Joe Thatcher who has some home run shots on his left-hand side of the card. I think they're going to set down Thatcher and let Heath Bell take his whacks at Howard here. So, Ryan Howard, 2 outs. Utley at third. And the pitch. And it's a 4-3 against a lefty. Ground ball to second base, and that will end the inning as Iguchi throws to first in time, in plenty of time. And so we're going to go to the ninth. It's still 4-1, 3-run lead here for the Padres. And Romero will come back out to pitch the ninth. Phillies still have Tom Gordon up there. Plenty warm now, but Scott Hairston against Romero. And a 1-5, he strikes him out. 3 strikeouts in a row for Romero. Here's Jim Edmonds. And they are going to stick with Edmonds. Let's see, unless they have... No, they don't really have any other good defensive. You're not going to take out Edmonds at this point. Lefty-lefty matchup against a lefty, 6-3 and a walk. Unlucky roll there. It brings up Josh Bard. And a 5-4 against a righty, catcher X. Ruiz 2E2, correct? Yes, 2E2. And a 1. I think that might be wild pitch check on the 1. W/S. This would be a squib single. Let's see, 15 on the E2. So no error, but oh boy, this is going to be at least, at best, a wild pitch, and it's going to be I think this is the first one of these I've ever had. So it's got to be 1 to 7 would be a wild pitch. You really are hoping you get a wild pitch here at this point, and it's a 12. That's going to be a single, so 2 on. Bard nubs one in front of the plate, and everybody's going to be safe. And against the righty, they will bring up Justin Huber. Or against the lefty, they'll bring up Justin Huber. And the Phillies, well, they're going to make the move. I hate doing this, but partly feel like they would do it in real life, and partly feel like I'm going to go righty-righty. So it's going to be Tom Gordon coming in here. He's been awful so far, which also could mean that he's due for some good performances. So Cianez went 2 innings, Romero 1 1/3. So it'll be Tom Gordon facing Justin Huber. Runners at first and second, 1 out. Love to get a double play ball here off of Tom Gordon, and 3-7 against a righty. And Tom Gordon hits him. This is the kind of luck Tom Gordon has had. Gordon has just hit every kind of ugly stretch he can get here. So here's the bases are loaded. They're going to play infield in, and here is... So now where did I put Brian Giles? Did I put him... Somehow did he end up over here? There he is. Whoa. So Brian Giles, bases loaded. They're going to play the infield in. And here we go against the lefty, Tom Gordon, 3-4. Oh, and here we go. Playing infield in, bases loaded. Pitcher A. Infield in, bases loaded. Ground ball A, batter out, runner on third, double play. That's going to end the inning. That's exactly 1 to 2 to 3. Exactly what Tom Gordon needed. The old 3-4 Brian Giles doesn't have the speed to get down the line, and that will be it. Can this inspire the Phillies to come through? Well, they're going to have to do it against Trevor Hoffman. No runs. Yay for Gordon. I feel better now. He's had his struggles, but it's going to be Trevor Hoffman coming out here to close out the game. I guess when you have a guy like Trevor Hoffman coming out onto the field, it makes you feel a little better about, I don't know. He seemed to be a real class act on the field. I don't know if I assume he'll end up in the Hall of Fame. I don't know, maybe not. I don't think he was on any teams that were good enough to really help him out, but he had a lot of good statistics, so we'll see. Pat Burrell, 111. Oh, we need a... Can we get a 1? Can we please get a 1 on the D20 here, please? Please? One time. No. That's a fly ball to left. That'll be the first out. All right, we're going to have to go with some extraordinary measures here. We're going to have Jeff Jenkins come in, pinch hit for Feliz. All right, so Jenkins comes in. Hi, Ken. 1 out, bottom of the ninth. Phillies down 4-1. up against Trevor Hoffman. 5-5 against a lefty, strikes him out. And they're gonna take Bruntlett out, and they're gonna hit with Greg Dobbs. They got to get something started here. And so here we go. Last hope. Dobbs needs to get on base here. And it's coming off of Hoffman's card. 4-10. Struck him out, and that is the ball game. The Padres take 2 of 3. Down go the Phillies, 4-1. All they could muster was 1 in the first inning. Victorino gets 1, but they had 4 hits total in the ball game. A great effort by Randy Cy Young Wolf, who the Phillies did an excellent job of giving him everything he needed for a win and the victory. Let's see how many hits for at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 hits for Padres. Win will go to Wolf. Save to Hoffman. Loss to Adam Eaton. All right, well. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. This might be the last one for a little while. I might get the itch back up again to do the Phillies, but I have another project I can run to escape the misery that is this one, at least as far as... When I say misery, I'm being melodramatic about it, but it's pretty tough sledding when it seems like every time you start an inning, you start a game for the Phillies and they immediately give up. Like the only, you take Cole Hamels. Let's find Cole Hamels' card here. I can just show you. Gets really old. When you take Hamels' card, and he's up against a right-handed hitter, and he gets like the first roll is a 6-9, and then the next one is the 5-11, and somehow you get the ballpark single to go for the other team, and then you hit the 5-9, and then you might just as well say the game's over. You might just as well write it off, mail it in, and just move on to a different project that doesn't make you want to pull your hair out. So there's no frustration here whatsoever. None. Not a lick. So this was, these guys are playing like the current Phillies. I guess the current Phillies malaise is affecting this team somehow, which is pretty impressive that you can have it translate through Stratomatic dice. So, yeah, fun times. So, okay, I gotta figure out life here, because that's another way. That's another good way to look at Stratomatic, especially in these situations. Stratomatic. You can go to Stratomatic because it wants to make your life look better. You know what I mean? Like if you're down on life, what you should do is you should buy the 2008 set and do a Phillies replay, and then you will realize how much better real life is for you, because it could be you having to roll this team and watching these guys do what they do, which is pretty they make baseball look really tough. It's surprising that these cards that somehow model real life just seem to just tank it. But I don't know. And if I keep messing with my cards while I'm coming to terms with this project, I'm going to mess up the way I do things here, so I should really stop. But it's too late now. Okay, let's back away from the back away from the ledge, Earl. It'll be okay. So, yeah, we could put this away for a little while. Needs to be done. It definitely ends up feeling that way after a while. Although I do feel good for Tom Gordon for once. I was really getting down on ever using him again, but he got a couple outs there, and that was good for him. So, yeah, I'm surprised that Tabletop Earl hasn't asked me to move my project elsewhere yet, because I've kind of been. Oh, and I just broke a rubber band, which is probably a good thing, these rubber bands, but it's for the pitcher's hitting cards. So, but I've been sort of tiptoeing on the edge of sanity or insanity, depending on how you want to look at it. And no, it's probably 1/3 an act and 2/3 real. I mean, I take things seriously. It's both a shame, and it's also something that I think you ought to do when you're going to do something. But it's just really tough to do that when you're having people watch you. That's, if I was just doing this on my own in my basement, I probably would still get a little upset, but I wouldn't end up feeling as ashamed isn't the word, just beat up about it. It's supposed to be an example, and I feel like this brings out the worst in me in a way, this particular project. I guess because I have such fond memories of this team, and this is like, it's like, it's like that first relationship when you're in, I don't know, grade school, high school, middle school. I don't know where you have your first I had mine basically in high school. You guys are probably a lot like me, and a little on the not so cool side. So I wasn't exactly a spring chicken when the whole dating thing really I got into that. But let me see, I'm trying to collect my thoughts now as I'm jamming cards into a bad envelope for this. This is not good. So anyway, this is kind of like that. It's like that first date. You try to forget about the way it went down and the bad stuff that went down. You just want to remember it as sort of like this glorified happy time when it was your puppy love, and you just didn't watch everything start spiraling into a and I mean, part of the thing with the Phillies was the ending. When you end up lifting the trophy, all of the warts go away, and this is just reminding me of all the warts, because that season was probably not nearly as rewarding throughout the season as it was at the end. By the way, I had my first date after high school. That's how pathetic I was. Just because I had a crush on someone that was way out of my league, and I just didn't come to terms with it until it was too late. So, but that's okay. Exactly, Jerry. Everybody's lost. I've lost. I have no respect left on anybody, or from anybody. I blew it. What a putz. No. So, but anyway, you try to remember the good things in retrospect, especially when you end up with a very good outcome. And you try to try to brush off all the little hiccups that you have, and tenacious after hours. Yeah. So we met at this kind of a dark, you know, aside from the neon coming in from the outside, you know, it was just it's kind of a dark, little smoky, you know. You know, her name had like 5 times the number of consonants as vowels. No, I don't know. No. Anyway, sorry guys. I'm getting silly now. I guess I got to find something to cheer me up. But anyway, the point is, the Phillies, they definitely had some real issues on their team. Who won the game? I'm not sure. I'm trying to forget, which will tell you who won the game, Al. The Padres won 4-1. It was a pretty dismal showing from a team that, as I'm trying to explain, I think holds better memories for someone who experienced the championship than what maybe you would have had they done what they did the year before, which is lose in like the championship game, you know, the championship series, or maybe even the division series. I think it was against the Rockies or something like that in 2007. But you know, you just, because you win, all you do is remember those, you know, highlights of Matt Stairs hitting a home run into the Chavez Ravine sky, and you know, all of the little tidbits that are just there that wouldn't have been there if they had flamed out. So yes, you missed the game, sorry. What made me a Phils fan? I moved to the area in year 2000. Well, I didn't move in the year 2000, but that's when I became a fan, was right. 99 or 2000. It seems to me it was 2000, but I might have started watching them a little before that. I remember going to see it was the Astros and the Phillies. I just decided to go up on a Sunday afternoon. I'd walked away from baseball late high school, early college years. The strike did it and stuff, and I was a Yankees fan when I was a kid, but again, they changed players so much. It was just kind of annoying. I mean, it's no different now, but when you're a kid, you just don't understand maybe, and it wasn't quite as prevalent back then as it was, you know, is today. But so, you know, we had moved into the area because I got a job, and so you know, started watching the games. I got them on the local cable and went to a game at the park, and that's when I was hooked. So that's it. You know, fought through Rico Bronya and, you know, Bobby Abreu, a guy that always had great numbers and rarely ever put him in there when it was crunch time. You know, guys like, you know, Jose Mesa. You know, Jim Thome was, I mean, those years were great. The years where it looked like they were building something, that was great. When I first started watching them, you know, those were, you know, you had Omar Dahl and Vicente Padilla and all sorts of, you know, and Randy Wolf was one of them. I mean, you saw him in this game. And you know, we had the Wolf Pack. I mean, I wasn't part of it, but you know, you'd always have the Wolf Pack up there in the, you know, 700 level of Veteran Stadium, and they'd put the old, they'd have their wolf masks on, and every time he'd have a strikeout, they'd be like, you know, like pumping their fist or something up there. It was kind of interesting. I always wondered if the Phillies paid them to do it after a while, but you know, there was some, you know, we had all sorts of. 93 Phillies. Again, that was about the time I was losing interest in baseball. So, and I think maybe maybe having a sniff of liking the Phillies even back then, because I'm a PA boy. You know, feeling like, man, I'd rather the Phils win than some team north of the border, and then have what transpired happen, knowing Mitch Williams and all that stuff. I mean, Mitch Williams had his, you know, his character was pretty well known throughout baseball at that point. So, you know, just not a Phillies fan then, but just, you know, kind of glomming onto them just very casually, because, again, I was sort of like on the outs with baseball. So, yeah, so from 2000 up until maybe even 2011, I don't know. We went away from Comcast cable at one point, and once we started doing satellite around Philly, if anybody is from around Philly, it's similar, I think, in Los Angeles with, is it Time Warner? You've got to have cable or Fios, or you don't get to see the local sports. Tony was standing next to a girl from Toronto when that home run from Joe Carter was hit. Wow. Strat 2010 replay. I don't know that. Yeah, I was going to say 2009, that Phillies team was pretty good too. They probably were better because they had, I mean, the Philly, what you could do is you could maybe see if you could help the Phillies actually do what they were going to do in 2010. Forget, that might have been the season that 2010 might have been the season that Ryan Howard, you know, scissored his Achilles tendon right at the end of that series. That might have been against San Francisco. I can't remember. Either that or St. Louis, one or the other. Yeah, 2009, I'm not sure that they had the fire, and they just, I mean, they had better pitching that year, but they just couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And, you know, in 2010, they faced a San Francisco team that was probably, you know, had pitching that was just as good, I would say. I mean, I think at that point they probably had Lee and Halladay in, unless they had dealt, maybe 2010 they had dealt Halladay for Lee. I can't remember. I can't remember how that all came down. Yeah, New York Yankees, whatever. You know when you're in a series with the Yankees that Major League Baseball is going to make sure that the Yankees are, you're going to have to beat them above and beyond what you would have to any other team, except for like St. Louis or there's a couple other teams that kind of get that sort of favor, I feel like, from the umpires. What's weird is that the Braves didn't win more, because I really felt like that was another team that the league had it for a long, long time. And somehow they only got one out of it. But you could just tell. You go in there, you'd have to swing halfway to the dugout to get some of those strikes they were giving Maddox, or Glavine. I mean, Glavine, he could barely hit 90 on the gun, and he was, the plate was about 3.5 feet wide for him. So, wonderful pitching. Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, I could have won 20 games with that strike zone. I mean, come on. And I mean, I faced Maddox here. They held, the trouble with Major League Baseball is that they had to hang on to some of that because they knew that they would lose face. They already lost some face in that period anyway because of some of the umpiring that went on during those. But they had to stick with it with Glavine and Maddox because they just didn't. They would not want that to reflect badly upon them, which it would. So, Millwood was never the same when he came up and went to other teams. I mean, he did have a no-hitter for the Phillies, but a lot of those other guys just couldn't hack it. And, as long as Maddox and Glavine were doing what they were doing, because again they were helping him out. I mean, they were good stories. Smoltz, yeah, I mean, and nothing against the players. I think you just have to. Those guys were fortunate to be on a team that was owned by a media conglomerate that was broadcasting the games to the entire country. You know, if the NFL was set up different, you'd think the same thing about the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, it's the same way with the Patriots. How many games do they get? I mean, how many calls do they get a game? They've got 10 games a year going to the whole country, so of course they're going to get calls. I mean, it's just the way these games are. Just the way, I mean, it's just the way sports are. Hockey playoffs. Do you think Pittsburgh gets the calls they do if they were Nashville, if the roles were reversed? Heck no. I mean, take any old schmuck and have him beating somebody's head into the ice. They're going to be gone for 10 games. Crosby, he just gets to get up and smile and do his... And then the next time somebody brushes him, he falls down like he's, you know, been hit by a freight train. So, you know, and does his little pirouette and, you know, probably even has a razor to try to get a cut in his face in case he gets hit with a stick. So, you know, it's just the way every sport is. It's the reason that every sport has teams run to the top, and they're good. But, you know, you want to make sure those teams come through, you know, as much as you can. I mean, sure, there are going to be times that those teams don't make it. I think the Red Sox, have gotten calls too. So, you know, I think that was good for baseball. And maybe even the Cubs having some calls last year. I don't think they really got that many from what I remember. It seemed like that World Series against the Indians was relatively well officiated. I don't know. But anyway, enough of my ranting. I sound like a raving idiot probably. Anyway, blading, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's easy to say that, but how many people can keep a secret? Not many. So, I mean, all you need is one of these umpires to go to the media and say, you know what, I'm turning, you know, I want $1 million. You know, or you give me 100,000, I'm gonna rat out what this deal was. So, you know, my wife won the lottery. Actually, I don't even really need to do this. I don't need their pension. They could take it from me. I'm just going to do it. So, yeah, and that's the other thing. And it's something that, I mean, replay is both refreshing and can also at the same time be infuriating. So, holds up the game. But it gets calls right, which I think is what is the stumbling block for everybody. People don't. I mean, I don't like the delays. Nobody does. The reason that they do it in football is that they get a commercial out of it. So, anytime there's a replay, you know they're running commercials. Baseball, you don't get that so much. It's quick, usually, but not often. Not often quick. Actually, I said usually. It's not usually quick enough. But in theory, I would say baseball, if I would say usually about baseball, it's that they usually seem to get it right. Maybe it's just because the game is not as... The angles you can get are much... You could set angles for, like, first base. So you could get a pretty clear, you know, second base for a stolen base or a tag or whatever. You could get those angles, and you don't get them blocked as often as you do because, you know, in a football field, you're on an XY coordinate system, and you just can't. There are going to be some angles that are just going to be really poor, and you're going to have people getting blocked out. So I would say most of the time, baseball is able to do it right. But, you know, balls and strikes, that's always going to be subjective, and you're always going to end up being able to have some kind of conspiracy if your team seems to be getting rooked. So, all right, I should wrap it up here, guys. So Al Red Sox thinks that the Pats and the Sox don't get the call. Well, Sorry, Al. I don't mean to be. I don't mean to be. I don't mean to be targeting anybody, but I would imagine that, the T-shirts and the memorabilia you have for winning like 10 or 12 championships in the last 15 years will help you cope with some of my, rather meaningless barbs towards your team. Sitting here, I'm not in Buffalo, but sitting here as a Buffalo fan, having 17 or 18 years out of the playoffs, I hope you can. I hope you can. I hope you can manage with all your rings and everything. I heard Belichick, his wife got him a camera for Christmas. Just, I don't know what he's going to do with it, but it's a really good one. Lots of resolution. You can really pick up the, the fingers that they call out, the plays. Oh, never mind. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Yeah, there were, you go on YouTube and, you are on YouTube, but, search on bad calls. You'll get, the Herbeck pulling, who was that? Who'd he pull off of first? There have been a few. The Jeffrey Meyer home run, that was a rigged job, and you know it. Who's that? Richie Garcia? I mean, the dude is sleazier than sleaze, and, shame on him and the league for doing what they did to that situation. But, you couldn't, a new dynasty would not be denied. So, a bad call. There was some kind of a throw that, it was a fumble, but somehow they said it was a throw. I can't remember. It was Gant. It was definitely Gant. You hit it, Larry. It was Gant. I remember because I just watched the video on it. Yeah. Oh, the tuck rule. I forgot. I knew it was called something. I guess that's kind of like the what is that called? The fumble rooski or whatever. That's what my friend who's a Raiders fan always says. He thinks the league has been out to get the Raiders forever. So, all right, good night, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. Phillies lose. This has been therapeutic, though, so I appreciate the banter. You guys sticking around and sort of, poking the bear. That's good. Good night, and I don't know. I might be back with the TBL tomorrow. I don't know. I have to decide if I want to keep going with this Phillies replay at the moment or need a change. A little change will do you good. Cheryl Crow. Good night. Take it easy. Strat on, everybody.